Several weeks ago, we got in a discussion here on the air about a change in the way you are using your debit card. Now, let me help you with this. In the past, until just recently, the way you've used your debit card is this. A credit card has one function. It functions as a credit card, period. And when you use it, you're in debt instantaneously as of that moment. It has a magnetic strip on it. You slide it through. You sign the paper at the store, and boom, you borrowed money, and you used your credit card. You did a transaction. If you do that, and if someone steals your credit card number and uses it fraudulently, or as it does an online transaction that's fraudulent, you are not liable. Visa covers you against, and your bank covers you against credit card fraud. You're not liable for someone stealing and misusing your card number. Your debit card, until recently, had two functions, and there was two distinct ways you could use your debit card. One was you use it like a credit card, and some of you can still do that. I still have a debit card that does that, and you just run it through. I bought some stuff at Sports Academy the other day, and I'm like, which button do I push, the green one or the red one, to make it credit? I don't want to put in my PIN, and I use it like a credit card, but of course, as soon as a transaction is completed, the money is taken from my checking account, and there's no debt involved. If you do that, you are running your debit card transaction through the Visa system, the MasterCard system, and you have the exact same fraud protections and online theft protections and identity theft protections and all of that. Someone misuses the number in some way, you didn't do the transaction, you simply are not liable. Your bank is required by Visa to put the money back post-haste into your account, and then they are to track it down. They either lose the money or Visa loses the money, one of the two, but you don't lose the money. The other thing you can do with your debit card is it brings it up and it says PIN, and you enter your PIN number. And until recently, what that meant was you were about to leave the Visa system and you were going to enter the ATM system, and you're now using your debit card like an ATM card. It only then has the fraud protection that your bank provides for ATM transactions. You're not in the Visa system. Okay, that's the way it has been for the entire time debit cards have been in the United States until now. And it has recently begun changing, and there's a chip being put onto the debit cards that is meeting what's called the EMV guidelines. And it is an excellent thing in that your magnetic card has all your data on it, your magnetic strip does, and soon no card readers are going to use the magnetic strip, and therefore we're going to lower identity theft and fraud considerably. Because each time you use a chip debit card, it sends a different set of numbers through to your bank, the unique to that single transaction. And the store does not have your card number. The store does not have your information. They have just the information from that transaction that the chip generates. And so it keeps, like, Target got breached and some, 100 million people or whatever it was got their stuff stolen. I'm exaggerating, but it was a bazillion people got their stuff stolen, right? And see, Target would not even have had the stuff if they were using EMV cards. Now, EMV cards have been very popular in Europe and Canada for many years, but they're just now really forcing them on the states. It's not a regulations change, it's a marketplace change. And so what is happening now, some of you have the EMV cards with the chip on them, and a lot of the merchants now have readers that only read the EMV cards. And so if you have a debit card that is an EMV card, has a chip on it, one of the newer ones, and the merchant has new transaction software and hardware, you put it in, it's not going to give you the chance to go debit or credit. You're going to type in a PIN every time. And that does not drop you outside into the ATM transaction. That leaves you in as a Visa or MasterCard transaction. So you've got better technical, mechanical transaction protection, and you've got the same promises from Visa and from your bank with the EMV cards that you're protected from fraud. So you're going to start seeing that more and more and more, because really by the close of this year, merchants who do not have the hardware that processes the EMV cards, the banks are going to start holding the merchant liable if there's a fraudulent transaction. And so the merchants are upgrading fast to the EMV hardware. So the hardware that reads your card is going to be a little bit different. They're not going to scan the magnetic strip. Now, you'll see the magnetic strips on there for the next 2 or 3 years probably. But the EMV, the chip, is what's going to be doing the transaction more and more and more every single day. It's going to add, you're going to see that it's more and more and more transactions. And we've seen it start popping up in our neighborhood, and honestly, we didn't see it. Well, we didn't know they were doing it. So we've done a bunch of research on it, dug into it. I've interviewed people in the banking industry, in the hardware industry, in the merchant side. We've looked at the regulations and looked at what the data is that's driving this and so forth. And so very, very good stuff. We've got a very good article on all the details on this if you want to see it and understand what's going on, that we will be posting online soon. I don't think we've posted it yet, have we? Okay. Well, when we post it, remind me and I'll tell everybody, James. And we'll get it where, get this in one of our blogs or something at daveramsey.com so you can read through it. But so you guys can understand what's going on. But there's always been this stuff that people have lied about, or they just were stupid. I don't use my debit card. I had a guy tweet this morning, I don't use my debit card because it doesn't have the same fraud protections. Well, yes, it does, stupid. It has the exact same fraud protections. That's just dumb, okay? You just believed a lie. And now it's going to be the exact same fraud protections, but you're going to be using your PIN now, which means I have never used my PIN in my life. I don't even know what it is. I'm going to have to reset it and memorize a PIN, because I've never used my debit card as an ATM card. I stayed within the Visa system for the protections, number one, also for the convenience. I just run it like you run a credit card. I treat it just exactly the same way, except I actually have money, and that's the only difference. And so, I've not fallen into that, but now I'm going to have to actually learn my PIN number because of this EMV. So as soon as I get updated debit cards next go round, when the bank sends them out, and they send them out every so often, I'm sure it'll have the EMV chips on it, and once the EMV chips are on there, then we'll be doing that. It stands for EuroPay MasterCard Visa is what EMV stands for, by the way. So we're all going to be on that system. You're going to know your PIN, and you're going to have Visa or MasterCard protection when you use your PIN with an EMV chip card. You're going to be okay. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button to get the latest content and check out these other great clips from the show.
So you have to break the cycle. You have to flip this thing on its head and make it behave. You've got to get so fired up and wired up that your broke friends think you've lost your mind.